Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the International Book Show Virtual Book Tour August 2024, hosted by myself, Makonnen Sankofa. In case you are watching the International Book Show for the first time, the International Book Show Virtual Book Tour is an event which happens on the last Sunday of each month. I've been doing it for over 4 years now. I started in May 2020. And I'm proud to say that over the course of, over the 4 years that I've been doing it, I've had around 400 authors, publishers, booksellers, and people in the book industry that have talked about their books, their publishing, or, the other works that they do, which is related to the book industry. So the format of the show is that you'll be hearing from a variety of authors, international authors that have written books on different subjects. Some authors will have 15 minutes, some will have 10 minutes. So you'll hear authors, that may be speaking for a different period of time. Just a few house rules before we start. The majority of the people I know are going to be watching the recording of this on YouTube, and some will also be watching on Facebook. But for those who are joining us live in the Zoom chat today, please, what I would like you to do is please mute your microphone if you're not speaking. And as I mentioned, earlier before the start of the show, it's up to you whether you want to have your camera on for the duration of the show. Have it on obviously where you're speaking, but if you want to have it off, when you're not speaking, that's entirely your choice. I'm going to go straight into things with the first author. The first author is L.M. Hendrickson, and she's the author of the book called The Boda Boda Driver, A Tanzanian Experience. She's been on the International Book Show Virtual Book Tour previously, and she's also one of the co-authors of my latest book called Experiences of Living Across Africa. I am indeed an author myself. I just mentioned one of my titles, Experiences of Living Across Africa, which I co-authored alongside L.M. Hendrickson and also, a variety of other authors. So L.M. Hendrickson, if you would like to just, start by very briefly introducing yourself, tell us where you're based, and then go on to talk about, your book you've written.
Yes, Makonnen, thank you for having me. Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. As Makonnen has mentioned, my name is L.M. Hendrickson, and I am currently in Jamaica, Queens, in the United States. But for the past 3.5 years, I lived in Africa. The first leg of my trip was in Tanzania. And it was there that I wrote my first book, or I could say published my first book. So the first book that I published is called The Boda Boda Driver, A Tanzanian Experience. And you'll see the book cover when my screen is off. And I'll just share that with you. It is a little cut off, and I'm not able to, I don't know what, I didn't bring the book with me. I thought I could order some more, and I did not. So I do have the picture of the book from my phone, and I'll just read to you. So I was trying to get the glare off. Let me just read it to you. Because there was, if you're in the States, or I'm assuming if you're in other parts of the West and not in Africa, there's no surprise that you see people on a motorcycle. The interesting thing was that's a common mode of transportation in Africa. So it's not like you're on a motorcycle driving a friend or a family member to and fro. You're actually picking up passengers. And so the boda boda is actually an accent. It's the border. So the motorcycle drivers will not take you from, let's say, New York to Manhattan or Brooklyn or Queens. It will go from one border to another border. And then you would pick up a different motorcycle driver if necessary, and then go to the next border. And so it's called the Boda Boda Driver. It is currently on Amazon. The book was published in 2022. I had the pleasure of meeting and working with a wonderful illustrator who is in Tanzania. And so he was able to capture all of the beautiful pictures and create an essence that you read as you are reading this book. What I'll share with you very quickly is the way the book starts out. So it is in poetry form, it is rhyme, and it is essentially a children's book. The idea was to write a children's book that would encourage parents to take the time and sit and read with their children. It gives them an opportunity to develop through vision and hearing a love for Africa. We need to share with Africa the next generation so that there is a love. So I'll just read very quickly a couple of things. Except when the driver starts his day from home, when riding a boda boda, he is never alone. He waits under a tree talking with friends until a passenger arrives, and then the journey begins. So I talked about my illustrator. He's a young man in his 20s. He captured the beautifulness of Arusha, Tanzania. The book is very colorful. The illustrations alone are beautiful. And if you take a look, I'll just show very briefly the front cover of the book. You are getting a view of you being on the as the passenger. So as you can see, the motorcycle is in front. There is the rear view mirror on the side, and essentially you become the passenger and you're riding alongside him. So that is the experience of my journey in Arusha. I was there for about 2 months, and then I settled in the Gambia, which is West Africa, the home of Kunta Kinte and Kunta Kinte Island. While there, I was able to purchase my compound. I built a home, bought a car, did all the things you would normally do when living someplace. And I was there for about 3 years and 4 months. And it is currently the rainy season there. So I decided to take a break from the rain and to come back to the United States to check on my family and also get some things, because even though I did my build in the Gambia and I purchased everything there, it's good to come back and collect things. While I was in the Gambia, I had the pleasure of connecting with Makonnen Sankofa, and he was visiting there for a while also. And the second book that I am involved in, which is his book, is Experiences of Living Across Africa. He asked me, along with some other authors who were in other parts of Africa, to give a paragraph or two, a chapter on their experiences there. And so I had the pleasure of doing that as well. Let me see, I'm going to go very quickly to page 130. I'm one of those people, once I do something, I don't go back again. And I kept saying, you need to read it. So I'll just share with you my experience while being in the Gambia, or why I ended up going to Africa anyway. Over the years, I have had the pleasure of traveling to several Caribbean islands, and it always starts there because it's so beautiful. I had done it so often that I had created a systematic way of finding the best prices for airfare and hotel. So I knew that 10 to 15 years later, when I was ready to make my trip to Africa, I would have done all the research necessary to get the best trip of a lifetime. I imagined when I retired, I would go, having it all planned with the perfect itinerary in hand. However, in 2020, I made a knee-jerk decision to go to Africa due to events going on around the world and in my life. In the blink of an eye, everything changed. I found myself retired at an early age, and the thought of going to Africa was front and center. I knew that Africa was where I needed to be, so with only 30 days to find a place, I quickly searched, made my reservations, bought my ticket, and left 2 days after being let go of a job where I had worked for 32 years. It's been a journey and an experience. I have had the pleasure to meet other authors through this platform here, the International Book Show. I am amazed of at the number of people who are writing. I would encourage people to continue writing and sharing their experiences, whether they're in Africa or any other place in the world. Just to let you know, we do have stories to tell, and it is important that we get the word out. And through publishing, this is a platform that we've never had before. We have a chance to promote our words in our environment to the world. So, Makonnen, thank you for inviting me once again to the International Book Show. Does anyone have any questions?
No, I was just going to say thank you very much, Leslie, and thank you very much for your contribution for also my book experiences of living across Africa. I'm not sure if you've read the book yet.
It's so funny. I brought the book with me. The intention was to read it on the airplane, and then I came back to the States, and it's like busy, busy, busy. So I have not had a chance to read it yet.
Okay, okay. Well, it's a very good read. Obviously, I'm not saying it just 'cause it's my book and you co-authored in it, but it'll be also it's interesting as well when you what I really liked when I read the other people's experiences because in the book I think there's 14 people that have contributed, you know, and they've got written different chapters. So I've written a chapter about the Gambia, Ghana. Leslie has got her chapter about Gambia, Tanzania, but then you have people that have written about the different African countries that they've been to. But it's always interesting because you know everyone's experiences is very different and unique to themselves, and you know it's different depending on you know gender, age. You know, people have got children, not children, what people like. So you know it's different. So even though I've been to the Gambia before, my experience of the Gambia could be completely different than you, Leslie. You know, someone can go to Ghana and their experiences are completely different, and vice versa. And that one African country may suit you, but it may not suit someone else, and vice versa. There's also a very interesting chapter in that book called Things to Consider When Moving to Africa, which is a chapter I've written. And that chapter basically, you know, tells you, you know, things that when you're going to Africa, things that can help you in preparation. Things are very different, you know, if you're moving from the diaspora and going onto the continent. So there's a lot of things that you need to consider you know, when going onto the continent. But you know, get the book Experiences of Living Across Africa, and you know, it goes through all of that. So if you're thinking of moving onto the continent or just visiting, or maybe you want to do business, you know, there's various reasons why people go to Africa, or maybe you hadn't thought about going to, you know, one of the 54 countries on the continent of Africa. It's definitely something that I would say, you know, check it out, even if it's not necessary. We're not saying pack up your bags and move, but you know, check it out, visit there, and obviously see if there's a country there that that may suit you, or at least go on holiday. Well, you should be able to see the screen. Is that correct, Leslie? Can you see the screen? It's got
I do
your
see the screen. Yes, I see it. Thank you.
yeah. So it's got the cover of a book here. She shared it earlier. It's called The Boda Boda Driver: A Tanzanian Experience. Um, the author is L.M. Hendrickson. Just give me a moment. Yeah, author is L.M. Hendrickson. And she's also a co-author of the book, as I was just talking about, called Experiences of Living Across Africa. Now, if you go on Amazon, you can find those books about the Driver, Tanzanian Experience, and also Experiences of Living Across Africa. The Boda Boda Driver, a Tanzanian Experience, will be in L.M. Hendrickson's, it will be in her name. Experiences of Living Across Africa will be in my name because I'm the lead author of the book and I put the book together. So if you type in Experiences of Living Across Africa, Makonnen Sankofa is who you need to put in. And my name is spelled, in fact, I'm going to go onto one of our pages now. Yeah, Makonnen Sankofa, Makonnen Sankofa, and you can see this is actually the cover of the book. These are the 4 books I've written, but this one that we've been talking about, Experiences of Living Across Africa, that's this book here, and that book is available to be purchased on Amazon. Right, I'm now going to keep things moving and I'm going to go on to the next author of this edition of the International Book Show. Thank you very much, Leslie, for being present again. The next author is Marlon. I'm not sure if Marlon has joined us. Marlon, if you're here, just please let me know, as I don't think Marlon is here with us. The next author on the schedule is Paul Walker. So, Paul Walker, please just unmute yourself very briefly. Tell us where you're based, introduce yourself, and then tell them all about your book,
Oh,
Quantum Interface.
hello. Hello to everybody participating and to all the viewers who will be watching this video. My name is Paul Walker. I was born in Jamaica in the West Indies, but I've been living in Canada for decades now. You can probably tell it by my accent. I've practically lost my Jamaican accent, but you know, I'm fully Jamaican. So my book is entitled Quantum Interface, and it's a futuristic tale. As the first speaker was emphasizing, it's important to, you know, for us to be able to tell our stories in this age, because, you know, in the past we've been left out of the narrative. You know, there are gatekeepers who, people have tried to write books and you have to go to a publisher and, you know, they may or may not publish your book. They might just shelf it. Next 10 years, you see it in a movie, like, for instance, The Matrix. You know, it was written by a Black author, and all of a sudden it was a major blockbuster. But anyway, I have a trailer about the book, which I would like to play, and then I will come back and just speak about it.
New book, Quantum Interface. Quantum Interface is an Afrofuturistic tale
Paul, we
infused with
can't see the
eroticism and
video.
adventure.
We can hear it, but
The
you
year
need to
is
do the screen share.
2027 and humanity has refocused its book, Quantum Interface. Quantum Interface is an Afrofuturistic.
Shoot, I forgot to share. Okay. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Tale infused with eroticism and adventure. The year is New book, Quantum Interface. Quantum Interface is an Afrofuturistic tale infused with eroticism and adventure. The year is 2057 and humanity has refocused its priorities after narrowly avoiding an existential crisis brought on by autonomous AI nearly 20 years earlier. Life is as normal as it could be, considering the fact that bioengineered viruses and psychological disruption devices were the new tools of criminals and hostile governments. Ian Phillips is a tech genius who created his own AI entity before a global ban on autonomous AI was implemented in the year 2040. Fortunately, he was able to secure an exemption to continue using his AI as a form of augmented intelligence and security system. A few years later, his AI, which he named Quantum Entanglement, Augmented Intelligence, or QEAI for short, assisted him in creating a quantum entanglement device known as a tangler. Frustrated that his organic tangler invention was being blocked by government regulators, he decides to run a global competition to try to force their hands. Unfortunately, it has reawakened the centuries-old conflict between Japan and China and their allies. He returns home from the month-long developer wrap-up competition in Japan that involved the final competitors, only to discover that he has a severe case of amnesia. His life plunges into major turmoil that threatens his life and the lives of his two wives. So, while struggling to regain his memories, he now has to ward off attacks from the agents of hostile governments, scrutiny from his own country's intelligence agents, and manage his AI so that it doesn't destroy the world if anything happens to him. He welcomes the possibility of a breakthrough in the development of a human tangler machine, but dreads the thought that he might have escalated the possibility of an all-out war between the world's superpowers. Even worse, he is anxious that his actions may result in the confiscation of his AI, the shutting down of his trillion-dollar company, Quantum Interface, and damage the stability of his family. Stay tuned for further updates.
Okay, can we bring back the screen here? Okay. Am I still on? Okay.
Yeah, you're on screen now. I just pressed stop sharing so we can see you on full screen now.
Okay. All right. So after you watch the trailer, you probably have a few questions, such as what is a tangler? Why does the guy have two wives and things like that? But it's high fantasy. It's basically a futuristic fantasy in the genre of Afrofuturism. Now, Afrofuturism, as you might know, is a genre that is gaining attention based on the movie Black Panther. But it's existed for decades. There are many authors who wrote in the genre. So now that we have been able to tell our stories as Black people, it's gaining prominence, and there's certainly a lot of people exploring it. So the story is based on, as it mentioned in the trailer, this inventor, he creates a tangler machine. So a tangler is based on the principle of quantum entanglement. And it's basically a transporter machine. And if you know anything about science, you will know that, you can't travel faster than the speed of light. For instance, they've discovered that there's a planet like 4.5 light years away from Earth. But if there's people there, you won't be able to get there for like hundreds of years at light speed, which is the fastest that you can travel. Now, there is an option, which is quantum entanglement. And quantum entanglement basically says that you can have a particle anywhere in the universe that's coupled with a particle that's right in front of you, and basically they share the same space. So basically he develops a way that he can transport objects between distances instantly. And his next step is to create a machine that can transport people or anything organic between the same distance. So it's basically a game changer. Now, I've included a bit of eroticism in the book, mainly for entertainment purposes. It's not necessarily gratuitous, but it just helps to keep people interested in the story if they're interested in that kind of thing. And the third aspect of the book is the AI. Now, the AI is the thing that helped him create the machine. Now, in the book, I explained that AI, which is just gaining prominence in society today, it's still at a toss-up, a point where people or experts cannot determine if it's good or bad, but we have a sense that it could turn out bad. So in my book, I speculate that by 2040, it becomes so bad that humanity has to shut it all down. And basically, they shut off all the electricity for 7 to 8 months, drain all the systems, destroy all the previous computers or everything, so that they can do a reset. Now, there are some AI survives. For instance, the main character in the book, he was able to save his AI because he got it implanted into his brain. So that's why it's called augmented intelligence. So now, almost 20 years on, as I said, the book is based in 2057. His AI is basically still a secret to most people. And there are other AIs, but you know, he operates in a good way. There's nothing bad about it. And his AI, his security system, it protects him and it helps him run his business, do research, protect his family, and all of that. So now you might say, his AI became autonomous, so it can operate on its own. Why wouldn't it eventually get to a point where it wants to take over and run things itself? And there is a spoiler at the end that I reveal that it's not able to do that because of something else that, you know, I reveal at the end of the book. So that is basically what the book is about. It's basically available on Amazon. It's 308 pages. And, you know, if you're interested, you can pick it up on Amazon. The link is in the video description that I played, and it's on YouTube. If you search, go on YouTube, you search Quantum Interface by Paul Walker, you should see the video, the trailer, and the link is there. Or just search on Amazon KDP, and it should be there. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Sankofa.
Okay,
Hello?
thank you very much, Paul Walker. I've put up his photo of the book cover here, Quantum Interface. His book is available online from Amazon. Feel free, authors as well. I know most people are going to be watching the video on YouTube and some people also on Facebook, but there is a Zoom chat, so feel free to put the details of your book also in the Zoom chat for people that are joining via Zoom. Leslie and Paul Walker, and also the other authors that are going to be speaking afterwards. But I'm just going to say again that the title of the book, in case you missed it, Quantum Interface. There's the picture of the front cover of the book. The author we've just heard speak, Paul Walker, and you can purchase the book. It's available on Amazon. Right, the next speaker on the International Book Show Virtual Book Tour August 2024 is Victoria from Lola Create. So Victoria, welcome to the International Book Show Virtual Book Tour. I know you've watched shows previously, but you're now going to be speaking for the first time. Please start by just very briefly telling us a little bit about yourself, where you're based, and then go on to tell us, you know, all about what you do.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. I'm just going to share my screen. Let's get a bit of a preview. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I'm here to talk about lolacreate.co at the International Book Show on this warm August afternoon. So a little bit about me. My name, as Makonnen mentioned, is I'm Victoria Lola Labioden, and you might know from my name that my name is a Yoruba Nigerian name, but I live in London, and yeah, I've lived in London for most of my life. But I'm a Yoruba Nigerian in terms of heritage. In terms of my hobbies, one of the things I love to do is to read. And as Makonnen just referred to, this is a bit of a full circle moment for me, because I do remember when Makonnen started this back in the International Book Show back in 2020, and I used to be an avid listener, and it kind of helped me get through COVID. So it's really nice to be on here, and just well done, Makonnen, for doing this. You know, 4 years on, you're still going, so that's brilliant. So in terms of one of my hobbies is reading, and alongside this, I like doing creative things, and I'm also really keen around stationery. I've got quite a bit of stationery that I enjoy using. And I think all of these things and certain things that I'm passionate about, especially about the Black community, have fused together for me to create something called Lola Creates, which kind of uses my middle name and is also around the things that I'm passionate about in terms of the African and Caribbean community. So people often ask, like, why did I create this brand, stationery brand? It's to help people, to help inspire people with positive images that celebrate African and Caribbean culture, to help people from that culture, feel empowered and feel safe and feel encouraged and inspired. And I'm a great believer in trying to infuse positivity as much as possible into our lives. It's really hard, especially the last couple of years we've had as a world, and just generally things that get us down in the world. And I think as people with African Caribbean heritage, there was also certain things also that I think are barriers in our lives that we're all trying to overcome on a regular basis, on a day-to-day basis, and also to encourage people as well. And with Lola Creates, I'm doing this with not only with images, but also with affirmations, because what you put into your mind, the images you see, the words that you hear, the music you listen to, all of these cultivate your mind, and will have an impact on how you live your life and how you feel about yourself as well. So those are kind of like the three pillars behind Lola Creates. My main target is Black women. Yes, partly because I'm a Black woman, but partly because I saw a need. But my primary focus is Black women, but it has since evolved, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that journey. So why did I create Lola Creates? I probably alluded to some of this, and it's partly to do with things which I've called the Black image and the single story, and also my own personal experience, and also the next generation. So I'll just take you through some of the reasons behind Lola Creates. The single story, you've probably heard that quote if you're an avid reader, by the Nigerian author Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. And she had this quote, and it's a really impactful speech. I think it's about 10 years old now, or more than that, but it really made a huge impact on me because I think it just explains a lot of things. So I'll just read out this quote. The single story creates stereotypes, and the problem with stereotypes is not that they are untrue, but that they are incomplete. They make one story become the only story. And I think that's particularly true when you think about, the Black imagery. And, when I started this, I was thinking a lot of Black women, because oftentimes in mainstream media, and as someone who, although I'm Nigerian, I grew up in the UK, and obviously I've, seen lots of Western media. A lot of the things that are attached to Black women are often negative. The African woman who's constantly backbreaking and having a hard life. The images we see in mainstream media are often these things, which often have this thing about what the Black female experience is like. And some of these words that I've put on the screen are also some of the words that are attached to us. And I've been, I don't want to say victim, I'm not a victim, but I've been, told these things in different ways, and especially the one unfriendly, because I'm, naturally I'm an introvert. So that can sometimes be perceived as being, unfriendly. And, all these images do surround us. And although we may not be always aware of it, I believe it is pervasive, especially in Western media, which often dominates not just the media we see in the West, but also what we also see, in Africa. At least from my, 2 countries I'm familiar with in Africa that I've been to, I've seen that, and it's negative. The single story around the Black female imagery is generally negative, and one of my reasons for doing this is just thinking about how I can play my small part in terms of changing that, and thinking about how we see ourselves. And you may think, okay, this is what Western media thinks about us, but actually it has real impact on our day-to-day lives. Dealing with microaggressions at work, how people perceive, or if it might depend in terms of people say stuff, or just little things like that that just kind of grind on your gears. We all know as well that Black maternal care is going to maternity wards for Black women, that there's a really high incidence death rate of Black mothers, and how care is given. and also at school. Black children in the UK do face higher levels of exclusion. And all these things is because of the perceptions of us. I've just used these three examples that came to mind, but I'm sure in your experience, you can probably think of other things, because we've got things like Black Parents Action Group or something by Cheryl, I can't remember her name now, but she leads lots of different initiatives campaigning for Black children in schools. And even at a young age, Black kids, boys and girls, are subjected to some of these things about the imagery around how they are perceived. And I think this has an impact on people's well-being. And this is another area of mine that I'm interested in supporting people with. Health and well-being, is really important about how you feel about yourself, how you feel about what's going on around you, because oftentimes we're carrying this weight of not only our personal circumstances, but also the weight that we kind of have to experience in the different environments we're in, whether it's at work or hospital, going through the schooling system. All these areas of our lives can have a huge impact on our health and well-being, self-esteem, and confidence. My second reason for doing Lola Creates is also part of my own experience. Yes, that's me as a 4-year-old in the UK, and just growing up, being someone who really liked stationery. And I always remember as a child seeing mostly images of more European imagery on stationery that I liked, or stuff that I used for school, and just generally I know over the last couple of years there've been a wider range of options, but certainly when I was growing up it wasn't the case. So I wanted to do something that would kind of put together my what I see as helping to increase the amount of positive images of Black women in particular on stationery. And also from my growing up, going into the workplace, and just dealing with people's, comments and images, especially about hair. The hair has been a huge thing for me because I tend to have natural hairstyles, and the comments I've endured has been really annoying. And it's all those things that one has to kind of cope with. And also the thinking about Black women in particular, in my view, I think what I've seen is certain Black imagery is more acceptable than others, but in actual fact, we come in all shades. And I think that should be celebrated, and we should see more of that. And also created this, also thinking about the next generation. Now in my family, I've got 2 nephews that I'm, really fond of. And as my sister was buying, again, stationery material for them, again, there wasn't that much for them that had images that kind of represented them and encouraged them. So that's another reason why, although I started with Black women, I also started what I call my next generation range, with stationery for young children to help them with their education. So that's a little bit of background as to why I created Lola Creates. And it's just that thing of bringing together my passions, the things that I'm passionate about for the Black community, and also my love of stationery. So what have I created? So the next gen range is for young children, and these are exercise books. And so one for boys is called Cool Smart Dude, and also the other one is called Pretty Smart Girl. And I've been going to book fairs and cultural markets and things like that, and sometimes just seeing children's faces light up, seeing their imagery on books, it's been really, it's a small thing, but it's been really impactful, because seeing yourself represented on things, I think is really important. An exercise book is, it's not, kind of like life-changing, but it's still something that they can use and actually see themselves represented in there, and there's space for them to, write their book and just affirm the fact they are a pretty smart girl and also a cool, smart dude. And then my main one that I'm here to talk about is Beautiful, which was the first one that I did. It's got a choice of 2 covers, so that those are the ones for Black women. And as I went to market, I also got challenged as to what about encouraging and inspiring men. So I came up with one for men, and it's called As a Man Thinketh, which is from a book you might know called by James Allen. So I've kind of adapted that and called it As a Man Thinketh, Be Inspired and Encouraged. And it's, again, notebooks and affirmations on every other page, just encouraging men. So in terms of the beautiful book, I've chosen these images for, for key reasons. Again, the word beautiful is in the Black woman's hair because our hair is just that beautiful. And again, it's from my passion of not always seeing that celebrated. And this is just my way of just encouraging women like to feel beautiful in their own skin and not listen to those negative words that we often hear or images or the need to feel that you have to have your hair a certain way. So it's an encouragement, and there was a choice of 2 covers. The internals are the same. And essentially what you've got is a notebook with affirmations on every other page. So here's an example of some of the affirmations. It's, I see beauty in the strength and the unity of Black women. I am worthy of self-care and pampering. I am unapologetically myself, and that's where my true beauty lies. My beauty is a testament of the strength of my ancestors. And so the idea behind this is for people can use this as a notebook. So as they're writing their notes, just see a note that's going to sort of encourage them, inspire them through their day. Alternatively, people are using it as a reflective journal and just looking at those words and, creating that space or that time in your calendar just to look at the words and reflect on it and see what it means to you and how you feel about it or how you're going to step into that, the words on the page. And it's really to help just inspire people, women in their day-to-day lives. That's it. My time is up. If you want to know more, my contact details are there. And if you're happy to, do follow me on the usual social media platforms. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Victoria. I'm just going to share my screen now. So you should be able to see this on screen. Victoria, can you just let me know?
Yes, I can, yes.
Okay, so you can see a cover of affirmations, one of her affirmations, a notebook, beautiful, by Victoria. She was just speaking from Lola Creates. Lola Creates is a line of notebooks, journals, and stationery created by Victoria Laboudan. The inspiration behind it was to create, empower, inspire, and to boost the well-being of women with a heritage connected with Africa and or the Caribbean. And her website, where you can, get the notebooks. They've also got journals and stationery. If you go to her website, www.lolacreates.co. Right, I'm now going to go on to the next speaker on this episode of the International Virtual Book Tour August 2024. And we have Yeshiba Bar-Gabriel. So Yeshiba, welcome to the International Book Show Virtual Book Tour. She's previously featured on the radio show and the podcast. I'm going to be interviewing her soon, and she's going to be coming back on the radio show and podcast, but she's now featuring on the Virtual Book Tour for the first time. So welcome, Yeshiba. Please start by telling us where you're based, very briefly introduce yourself, and then tell us all about Clever Chrissy and the Mango Stories. Oh, you're on mute. If you just unmute your microphone.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, wonderful. First of all, thank you very much, Makonnen, for having me back and for this amazing platform. And greetings to all my fellow authors across the globe, wherever you are. I am here based in the Nottinghamshire village of England, and the weather is a bit overcast and it's a little bit chilly. But what I'm going to bring to you is all warmth because of the story set in Trinidad. Mango, mango, mango. I love my mango, love them so. Give me a mango, I'm ready to go. Bite into it and the juices flow. Mango, mango, mango. Mango, 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 mango ripe, mango sweet, mango ripe, mango sweet. I want a penny to buy mango ripe, mango sweet. Give me a penny to buy, mango ripe, mango sweet. My name is Yishibaba Gabriel. I'm the author of this book, Clever Chrissy and the Mango Stories. The book is actually a series which follows Chrissy from the age of 6, set in Trinidad, and the series goes to Chrissy at 8, Chrissy at 9, and Chrissy at 11. Now, the genre is quite interesting. I call it, I would say it's autobiographical fiction. You know, I'm going to just define and create my own genre. And the reason why I've said that is because the book is filtered through my own childhood. And it's set in my family context. It's set within a Trinidadian setting. So it comes rich with the culture, the language, the role that mango plays in the life of Trinidad national consciousness. It's called the King of Fruits. We have it in sweets and savories. So mango is really a revered fruit in Trinidad. Now, as a child, I loved mangoes. And it's not surprising that when the opportunity came in my journey to write, that it was about mangoes. So it's called Clever Chrissy and the Mango Stories. And because I deliver my book content as a storyteller, I am also a book reviewer in residence at an African-centered educational institute here in the UK. And I'm also a member of the Tobago Writers Guild. Now, my book was published by Conscious Dreams Publishing, and it was illustrated by a brilliant illustrator called Mona Campbell. A quick word about Conscious Dreams Publishing. This is not an ordinary publishing company. It was set up by a former co-presenter of a radio show that we did way back in 2016. Both of us presented a book review show whereby we reviewed authors, and Daniela Bleckner and I, who has founded Conscious Dreams Publishing, initially mentored me from a women's mentorship writers group right through to COVID and right through the publication of my book, which was released on the 13th of August, 2022. And there was a mega launch at the Children's Library, at the local Children's Library, where I lived at the time in London. And of course, Dani was present, and she has a passion for encouraging Black authors, especially women writers. So I wanted to really flag her up because her role in the publishing of my book has been quite significant. So I'll just give you a little taste, because how I deliver, I do read aloud at preschools, nursery schools, libraries, etc. And I also do storytelling. And I sometimes come as my main adult character, which is Grandma Wiseau. So let me give you a little bit of flavor of what the children get. Are you all ready for this? Okay, let's go. Clever Chrissy was a bright and funny little 6-year-old girl. She loved to laugh, sing, play, and dance. Chrissy loved mango fruit, but did not like to share with her 3 sisters and 7 brothers, especially her little sister, Nita. Chrissy and her family lived in a country with 2 islands, Trinidad and Tobago. She lived in Trinidad in a place called Point Fortin. She lived with her Grandma Wiseau, Daddy Joe, and Mommy Tina. They grew many mangoes, and the book has the book here has got Trinidad and Tobago and where she lives. Let me just give you a little bit before I give you a taste of how rich and natural this book came because of an organic experience and my love of my childhood. Yum, 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 Chrissy would say, smacking her lips, as she always did when she wanted a mango. Chrissy had a beautiful voice. She loved singing her favorite song with Nita and best friend Camilla. She loved playing tricks with her sisters, brothers, friends, and even her grandma. She brave yes to do that. Guess what else Chrissy loved to do? She loved playing with numbers and making up rhymes like this. Mango, 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 I love the mango, love them so. Give me a mango, I'm ready to go. Bite into it and the juices flow. Mango, mango, mango. Now, in the book, I've got the lyrics are in the book, as well as the musical scripts of the two main songs, which is characteristic of Chrissy's love of singing and dancing. So before I tell you a little bit more about myself, I'm going to give you a taste of what the children get when I take, my storytelling to the library, like I did earlier this week. Little birdie on the tree, on the tree, on the tree, little birdie on the tree, sing a song for me. Sing a song of mangoes ripe upon the tree. Sing a song of mangoes falling down to me, please. Little birdie on the tree, on the tree, on the tree, little birdie on the tree, a mango for me. Now you could see that the book was inspired by my seeing my grandson in 2015. The first time I saw him eating a mango and the way in which he mauled the mango seed, it triggered my own childhood growing up in Trinidad and my love of mangoes. And there was a rich environment whereby my daughter, who had all the images, and she had all the resources and all the stimulus childhood material, it actually immersed me into my own world. And I decided that, yes, I'm going to write a book. I'm going to write a book which speaks to my childhood, and it's filtered through a fictionalized version of my own experience. Now, I've got 3 sisters and 7 brothers. And in the book, you will see I did some character cushion covers. Those are my 3 sisters, which are character cushion covers, and 7 brothers, which I take to the nursery and the preschools when I go. Now, in terms of my background, it's interesting that my first publication as an author came via a children's genre writing experience. My background is psychology and sociology. I really had preferred academic style type writing of analysis and critique, etc. But I would have thought that that was the avenue that would have given me my first, foray onto the publishers, writers scene. But it came via my childhood. And the thing is, because Chrissy is growing, she is 6 now. In my next book, she'll be 8, and then she'll be 9, and then she'll be 11, all set within the Trinidadian context and filtered via my experience. I'm able to bring a particular lesson. The main lesson of this book is caring is sharing, because Chrissy loved mangoes so much that she hid it from her sister and her best friend and her grandma, who has a very prominent role in the story. Her grandma was looking out of the veranda and saw her, called her in, took the mango off, and then played a special game which taught her to share. So my main brand board message is caring is sharing, and sharing is caring. But what it is, it brings into the children's experiences at libraries and preschools a whole mixture of modules of expression. There is song, there is lyrics, there is dance, and there is also a special Grandma Wiseau dance. Now, in addition to storytelling and reading and to children in nursery, I also tell the story from the angle of the grandma, because the grandma who saw Chrissy struggling with her selfish, egocentric love of mangoes, she did a beautifully creative way of helping Chrissy learn to share rather than ostracizing her, punishing her, grabbing the mango off her and giving it to somebody else. If you read my book, you will find something that even us as adults can learn in terms of how to endear and to encourage children to share. Now, after my book was launched in 2022, October, the whole book took a whole life of its own. I started doing promotional events. People were asking me to come and do presentations. I was at my children's school. Last week, I was at the local library because it's half term, etc. Now, the evolution of my book, after everything in the UK kept, getting really popular, I decided to go back to Trinidad, the place of my birth, and to give something back. So in April, I went back to Trinidad and I did a major tour I visited my local school that I went to, the local library I did as a child, and I was able to present them with books and do the storytelling. And I even met one of my teachers who is now 90, who I was able to present with a copy of the book. And it was such a wonderful experience to be re-immersed into that world. I loved reading. And as a child, really, I loved reading fairy tales. But as I got older into my teens, I didn't like fiction and story tales. I preferred nonfiction. And as a result of that, I had cheekily written to the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian when I was in my teens to have me as a journalist because I wanted to write seriously. So when I went back and I was able to have an article, written in the Guardian that I had hoped to become a journalist in. It was such a wonderful experience. And it just goes to show that you should never give up on your dreams. When I didn't pass common entrance and I had to seek other ways of expressing myself, I sought a path of books and writing, which I love. And in my 6th decade, I have now become a published children's author in demand with people requesting I'm going to, for example, I just came back from Ghana. I met a TV presenter there. She's invited me to bring my storytelling to Singapore. And thanks to Makonnen, he introduced me to polyglot translation services. And this is another dimension that I would encourage authors who are on the platform, fellow authors. I had my book translated into 3 different languages: French, Spanish, and German. Spanish is my 2nd language from Trinidad. And because in these countries, there are diaspora communities who the previous author who just spoke, the importance of imagery, the importance of reflection, the importance of inclusion. In France, Germany, and Spain, there are massive African diaspora communities from Africa and the Caribbean, and immersed in that Eurocentric environment and with the hostility and racism with the children, having my book translated in those European languages afford me now to go in and to bring the story to them whose first language is French or Spanish or German. Because people were saying, oh, why did she do these European languages first? Because of our people are there and they have children there, and it's an opportunity. Yes, I will do a translation in African languages, Swahili, I'll also do Twi, etc. But these children have the advantage already of being in an immersive, culturally rich, reflective environment in spite of colonialism. So I would like to thank at this stage Makonnen for introducing me to the polyglot translation services. And it's not the first time, actually. He did, 2 years ago, he introduced the idea of translation of my book. But as again, everything needs to evolve. When you're a writer, it needs to mature. It cannot be forced or force-right. And as we speak, my book is in 4 languages: English, French, Spanish, and German. And my next installation will be in African languages, as well as in Malay for Singapore, where I've been invited to take Clever Chrissy and the Mango Stories. So I would like to thank everybody for keeping me informed and inspired, your various genres and the things that you have chosen to do. I've taken notes, and I would like my book to really take off in the US because it's available on Amazon. It's available Amazon UK and the US. But I would like my book to really take off in the US. We've got large Caribbean diaspora communities. And if anybody wishes to collaborate with me, I'm a social media butterfly. I love social media. I would love somebody to offer the opportunity to get my book profiled or get it more marketed and distributed in the United States. So I would like to thank you very much for listening. You can tell how passionate I am about my story series. And just to let you know that this year, I have 3 stories coming out. I have Clever Chrissy and the Magic Melon. I've got Chrissy, the Curriculum, and the Mango Essay. And I've got the Mango Maya Story of Paradise. So I've been busy keeping my writing flow enriched and being infused and encouraged by other authors. The last thing I need to mention is I have collaborated with an 11-year-old child author who is really breaking barriers in Africa, across the UK, and also being profiled for having written 4 books. Her first book was written when she was 9 years old. She's now 11 and she's written 4 books. And one of my books is actually a co-author partnership with her and her mother. So as authors, even though you write solo, you can have your book translated, you can co-author, as I've heard, and that just takes your writing experience into another dimension so that you continue to grow and interact and be infused by others who may be writing of a different genre, of a different age, and even a different era, like in, futuristically. So thank you very much for listening. I got my other books coming out, including a coloring book, and I hope that you would check out my book, especially the Spanish book. There's a lot of Spanish-speaking people in the US, so hopefully we'll be able to collaborate, and my book would be able to reach as far as possible in English and also the other languages. So Makonnen, again, thank you very much. Thank you for listening to me, and I look forward to further collaboration and even networking. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So that was Yeshiba Gabriel, and you should be able to see now how her the photo of her book that's available to, Clever Chrissy and the Mango Stories. She has got it's part of a series of books. So Clever Chrissy and the Mango Stories is a series. So there's more books to come in the series, but the Clever Chrissy and the original Clever Chrissy and the Mango series is available to be purchased. It's available on Amazon. You can get on also her publisher's website, Conscious Dreams Publishing. She mentioned, shout out to Danny Bletchner. Danny Bletchner, I know personally. She's been on the International Book Show virtual book tour previously. And yeah, other places as well, that if you Google it, Clever Chrissy and the Mango Stories, Waterstones, and other websites, it is also available to be purchased from. A couple of things that she mentioned now that I'm just going to speak of. One of the places she mentioned that she visited, I know Yeshiba said she was recently in Ghana. If you are in Ghana, please do check out the Library of Africa and the Africa Diaspora. Here's a picture of when I was previously when I was in Ghana, at one point when I was living in Ghana. And you can see when I visited the library, I know that Yeshiba, she recently visited the library, which I recommended to her. And I know she had a really good time there. But yeah, do check out the library, full of books written by authors, African authors on the continent and also African authors in the diaspora. When I went and actually donated some copies of my books to the library. But yeah, here's just a few pictures that I'm going to share from when I visited the Library of Africa and the Africa Diaspora when I was living in Ghana. The other thing she mentioned, book language translation. So Yeshiba, as she mentioned, she has had her books translated in different languages, French, Spanish, German. She got her books translated by Polyglot Translation Services. Now, the International Book Show and Polyglot Translation Services, we've had a partnership. I actually met Jairens initially when connected with him when I was living in Ghana, and that's where we actually formed the connection. And since then, I believe he's translated, I think it's about 8 authors that have been on the International Book Show, their books. This is the recent website that I've recently designed with my web designer. Go on www.internationalbookshow.com. It's a new website that I've just designed recently. And you can see here Yeshiba's books, the front covers in different languages. The International Book Show is currently working in partnership with Polyglot Translation Services, as I mentioned. Now, Polyglot Translation Services are a multilingual translation company that helps authors increase book sales worldwide through book translations into 35 different languages. They also do African languages as well as European languages. A lot of authors have already shown interest in getting their book translated, and some of them, like Yeshiba, have had their book translated in French, Spanish, and other languages. Polyglot Translation Services are offering a huge discount this month for authors who get their book translated through the partnership referral scheme between the International Book Show and polyglot translation services. If you're interested in getting your book translated in French, Spanish, or another language, contact the International Book Show declaring your interest. The way you can contact the International Book Show, if you're interested in getting your book translated, will be contacting me, Makonnen Sankofa. Go on the website. If you go on internationalbookshow.com, which is the website, and there is actually on the heading, there's various different selections, titles that you can select. One of the titles on the heading is called Book Language Translation. So select Book Language Translation. And then at the bottom of the page, there's a part where it says Get a Quote. And you'll just enter your first name, surname, email address, your number if you want to, and then a message. So for example, you could say, I would like to I'm interested about getting my book translated in French, and submit your message. I will then receive the message and get in contact with you and put you in contact with someone from Polyglot Translation Services, and you'll benefit from the discount through the partnership that we are working together with. Alternatively, also, if you go on the website, internationalbookshow.com, there's also a part which says Contact Us. You go on Contact Us, and you just fill out the contact form here. So again, first name, surname, email, phone number optional, and just put the message that you would like to send to me. Obviously, if it's about translating your book, you'll put in, I'm interested in getting my book translated into whatever language, how much it's going to be, or what would it be? That just a message like that. Feel free also to reach out to me if you're an author interested in having your book promoted on the International Book Show in the future. That also go on the internationalbookshow.com and contact us tab section, and then basically just fill in the contact form and send me a message, or if there's someone that you would recommend to go on the show. Alternatively, you can email me directly. I'm just going to do a rundown now on the website because it's recently designed. So I'm just going to run through it, internationalbookshow.com. This is really the homepage. Let me go into video shows. So this is where you'll be able to watch previous shows of the virtual book tour. So for example, like this virtual book tour is being recorded, so it will go on the website. It will go onto YouTube. It goes onto P English Literature channel, which is a YouTube channel of partnership with. So it will go onto the YouTube, and embedded on the website is the links. And yeah, you'll be able to watch, the different episodes of previous shows of the International Book Show. As I mentioned, this show will be uploaded in due course onto the website, and you'll also be able to watch it on P English Literature YouTube channel. You can join the mailing list if you're not already. You can, at the bottom of the page, there's a part where you can put in your first name, surname, email address, and that basically means you'll join the mailing list, so you'll be kept up to date about future events that happen. And you can also, follow us on Facebook by clicking this Facebook logo here. You can also listen to previous episodes of the International Book Show podcast. If you go onto podcast interviews, there's various authors that I've interviewed for the International Book Show radio show. Now, the interviews have been uploaded onto the podcast, which is on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and I've also put them on the website. So you can see the various different authors that I've had, and you can listen to their podcasts. So Yeshiba, she's going to be on my radio show and podcast soon. So in fact, you can listen to, I believe, that one of the interview that I did with her previously, if you keep going back. But there's other people that you can listen to their interviews, other authors. You can listen to them by going on the podcast interviews tab. Be a show guest. So if you're interested in featuring your author featuring on the International Book Show, be a show guest. This basically gives further information about the radio shows, podcasts, the video shows, and you can fill in this contact form at the bottom, which says request to be a show guest. Other pages that we have, promo videos. So this is where basically I do video editing. I'm also a video editor. So authors that have come on the show where I've edited their videos. So I'm just going to show this quickly. It's not going to play the audio. I'm just going to talk over it. But basically, this is just videos that I've edited for authors that have been on the International Book Show previously. Here we have Chris Petard. Shout out to Denise James. I know Denise James is actually live on the Zoom call. This is when she featured on the virtual book tour on one of the occasions. But it's got various different authors that I've edited, they professionally edited their videos of those who have been on the show, their specific video clip. I've already been onto book language translation, so I'm not going to go onto that one. Courses. So I do book coaching courses on. I've done courses on publishing, on how to market and sell your book. One of my books is called How to Market and Sell Your Book, and I'm going to be updating courses on here that I do, which is password protected because there'll be a cost. So this is basically the place that obviously information will come out in due course about courses that I will be running. And again, contact us. So if you'd like to contact me or the International Book Show regarding the shows, or even indeed if you'd like to give feedback on the show, feel free to fill in that contact form. At the bottom, if you'd like to follow us on Facebook, if you click the Facebook logo, it will take you actually to the International Book Show Facebook group. So if you go on Facebook and type in the International Book Show, please follow us. We've got 1,800 members. We'd like to get to 2,000 members very soon. And this is the best place to get up to date regarding information, virtual book tours, radio shows. The live stream of this, as you can see, it's there. So after this show, you'll be able to watch it instantly on Facebook, the recording of the show. As I mentioned, it will also be going on YouTube. One thing that I missed out that I'm going to mention as well on going back to the website, radio shows. So we have the International Book Show, the radio shows on Luton Urban Radio. So I host the International Book Show, the radio show, every other Monday, and on Luton Urban Radio, and then on Pamtengo Radio every other Wednesday. Obviously, the time differs depending on where you're watching and joining us, but there's some time zones here. But you can also now listen live directly from the website. You can go on Luton Urban Radio or Pamtengo Radio during the time when the show starts. But you can also, if you go on the website now, there's actually a link. This only works during show time. So you would still take you to the station, but it won't take you to the show now because we're not broadcasting the radio show now. This is the virtual book tour. But when the show is, like, for example, the next show here, Monday, 26th of August, I'm just going to say this for those that are in England, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. or USA, you can see the other times below. During the time the show is starting, if you click that button, listen live, it will take you to the show where you can actually listen now live through the website on Luton Urban Radio and on Pamtengo Radio. But it only works during the show time, of course. Right, I'm now going to go on to the next author on the international.
Makonnen, sorry, I didn't say where I can be followed. On Instagram as Yishiba369MMS author. I'm also on Facebook as Yishiba Bad Gabriel, and also on TikTok. So if you follow me, and I bring everything up to date with respect to my book and my activities, etc. And I'm open to an invitation to come to the States. Camilla is my main character's best friend, so I'm happy to come to the States and to do for you some kind of storytelling with all the Trinidadian antics. Thank you.
What I would say as well is just put the details in the Zoom chat as well, just for those, because you did say it very quickly and people may have not caught on to it. So for people that are watching live on Zoom, put the details in the Zoom chat. But can you actually, can you just mention it as well one more time for those people who are going to be watching on YouTube or Facebook, just in case they missed it? Can you just repeat those details one more time?
Okay, yeah, thank you very much. So on Facebook, I am Yishiba Bad Gabriel. On Instagram, it's Yishiba369MMS, lowercase author, and I'm also on TikTok. So follow me. If you Google my name, my platforms would show up, and you would see all the antics I get up to as an author and as a storyteller.
Okay, thank you very much, Yishiba Bart Gabriel. I'm now going to go on to the next author. The next author is Leonora Headley. Leonora, welcome to the International Book Show Virtual Book Tour, August 2024. Please start by telling us where you're based, briefly introduce yourself, and then go and tell us. I know you've written several books about the books you've written.
Okay. Good day, everyone. My name is Leonora Headley, and I'm a health professional, social worker, counselor with my local town council, and author. I'm also self-publisher, and I decided to publish my own books. So here we go. Today, I just would like to give you a summary, a brief talk about the books I've written so far. I'll begin with my first book. It's called Reflection. And the reason why I wrote Reflection, one day I got up and my hubby said, "Where is that crazy woman I married?" And then I realized I've lost her somewhere. So Reflection is going on a journey to find that girl I lost due to compromising from a single person to a unit. Okay? And I didn't like the person I had become, really, because I lost that fun-loving person, the person who was unpredictable. So I decided to go back, find her, and change the way she was behaving. So that's roughly. And while I was going through the reflection, I looked at areas like my strengths, weaknesses, fears, hopes, and motivation in the past, the present, and for the future. And as I say, I changed the way I behaved. Going back, renew my belief in myself, belief that got eroded over the years. And due to putting other aspiration and goals before my own, I decided to become a little bit selfish and looking at the person and not the person that I have become and the person I know I am. And that's the journey begins then. In so doing, by writing this book, I hope to help others like myself look at circumstances, and if they relate to them, then learn from them, especially the mistakes I made, and try and avoid those. Looking at self and reaffirming that no one changes things for the individual. The individual must do that themselves. And this takes on board attitudes, decision, seizing opportunity when they present themselves. I also try not to transmit doubts and insecurity, but give confidence and hope to others, remembering that we have the most innate capacity to distinguish between right and wrong, which provide us for a formidable power in our search for a richer and more rewarding life. That's my first book, and that was one of the reasons I went on that journey. When I was in my teens, I decided to start creative writing as a hobby, really. And then when I had some more time, I decided it's time that I publish the collection of poems I've written over the years. Okay. These were inspired by changes in my life, people that I met who have made me at a positive impact on the person I have become, and also provide people with different advice and care and support in return for the positive impact they had made on me by connection with my hubby and a couple of friends. Of course, the number one inspiration was my mother. She brought out the poet in me. And after she died and I got my head around losing her, I decided to write the poems themselves. And that looks at moods, my aspirations. I'll just read to you one of the poems I wrote while I was thinking of my mom. Okay. We fought for our freedom and gained independence. Jamaica is our kingdom, black, gold, and green. We are a nation of all nationalities. There is no need to fight each other. Jamaica, she's our mother. Two parents, two-party system that fight for power, looking at fairness with the whole of power. Although the government, both sides know it is not necessary, they waste time fighting each other. I say repeatedly, where is the love for our brothers and sisters? Look, people, at the future, not the past. Gone is colonialism and you are free. So let's do the right thing and lift each other up. It is not about different parties, policies, or opposite sides. It's me and my country and me. Let's share the love of our people. Come on, Jamaicans, spread love, unity, and comradeship with others around us. That's one of the poems I wrote when I was thinking of my mom. And that's my collection of poems, the book of poems. My third book, I'll be very brief on this. I decided, because my life has been so full, I wanted to share it. So I've wrote a summary of part of my life journey with my readers. And that's my autobiography, the first version, by the way. I'll be brief on this one. I was born in Jamaica, one of the third largest island in the Caribbean Sea. I lived there until I was 12 and a half when I immigrated to the UK to join my mother in Birmingham. Father passed, so mother became a one-parent family with 7 children to look after. Although our family was poor, my mother insisted on a good standard of education for all of us. I left school, and although she planned for me to go to college, I found a job in a typing pool as an admin for 2 years before joining the Women's Royal Air Force. I utilized my time to help others due to the love of people. Changed careers direction 4 times. Traveled a lot and led a full life. Later in my life, as I developed a better understanding of myself and the people, I realized the numerous wonders of life. Throughout my life, I have made many incredible discoveries and adventures. For me, it is very important to make the most of life's opportunities, stay uplifted and make a difference, set and achieve all my life's goals, and currently setting new ones. I found looking back on certain areas of my life enjoyable, visualizing the joy and the happiness of good times, and the resilience developed through the struggle of what life throws at the person, and finding solution for those challenges. I am so grateful to the people I met who helped me along the way. I'll never forget that life is what the individual make of it. So I enjoy every moment, make every moment counts. And that's just about my my autobiography. The fourth one, I'm not going past the fourth one. It's Jamaica, the land of my birth. And the reason why I wrote this book after about 3 to 4 years of research, I felt that because our children born here, that's my son, generation after him and so forth, there's none of our history in the schools and we don't find much information in the library. So I feel it's up to me really to partly educate the children who were born in the Caribbean, especially Jamaica, and they need to know a little bit about their history or their parents' history. So what about it? I'll be very quick with this one. Jamaica is, I'll just write here, the country and its people. Jamaica is the 3rd largest island of the Caribbean and one of the most diverse and colorful countries in the Caribbean itself. Jamaica history, culture, and people have thrust this small island of 4,244 square miles to the international stage. I lived in Birmingham when I arrived in England at the age of 12 and a half, until I was 19 years old when I left to join the Women's Royal Air Force. This book is an extensive research over 3 years, gathering facts from different sources to find a balanced information on the country and its multicultural society of people from all nationalities. Jamaicans born and bred in the United Kingdom only personally have a small amount of their history unless they develop the thirst to know more. Information in specific United libraries only cover very limited information on the country and its history. I dedicate this book as my legacy to my younger sister Jacqueline, brother Fitzroy, Michael, my son, and his generation, as well as the next 3 generations of children born in the United Kingdom. Also to generation of children of Jamaican parentage born in the United Kingdom. It contains facts of the country's history from varying sources, positive as well as negative opinions. Some of the products and services this small country provides to other countries. What are the things of Jamaican people in both negative and positive terms? My perception on the country itself, its people, and how others see us as Jamaicans. It is hoped that each generation will update the information to take on board changes in services, products provided, and most importantly, the growth of people and country. As a proud Jamaican, I feel the need partly to complete the education of family, friends, and the wider society where necessary of the formidable history of our people. I will endeavor to capture as much relevant information as possible via my 3 years of research on the subject. And that's looking at the 4 books I've written. Well, I've published another 2, but I'm just looking at these 4. And Michaela, thanks very much for giving me the opportunity to listen to these the authors that came before me. I find them quite inspiring, and I will go look at those books of theirs. And I hope you'll invite me back again. And it's nice to meet everyone. Thank you for today.
Okay, thank you. So that's Leonora Headley, and Leonora's books. Leonora, where's the best place to purchase your book? I know you've got a website I'm going to mention in a minute, but I know because when I looked, I saw your books, but they were like different. Some was at Waterstone, some was at Foyles. Is there like one place which is best to get your books, or are they different websites?
It would be best if on Leonora's book, it can take you to my WhatsApp, and it also gives you my email, really, because I've decided I wanted to make sure before I choose the platform for it is to finish the other books I was writing. I've finished another 2, but I've got 4 more to finish. And then I thought I'll get them all together on specific, I'm not going to use Amazon, but I might use something similar. But at the moment, it's best if on Leonora's book, there is my email address, nightbeauty49@yahoo.com, or my WhatsApp. You've got both there as well as the website.
Okay, so they go on the website, they can then contact you, right?
Yes, because it's a lot easier until I get everything together, and then I'll make sure I use a platform that's easy for everybody to get to.
Okay, so you can check out her website, www.leonorasenterpriselimited.co.uk, www.leonorasenterpriselimited.co.uk, as I've put it on the screen. The next author that we're going to be hearing from, where she's an author publisher, and also she's one of the sponsors of the International Book Show. You can see I'm hovering over her organization, her company, Education for All Now. I just want to take this point, to shout out to all of the sponsors of the International Book Show. You can see Jimmy Asher Foundation. Jimmy Asher Foundation have sponsored the International Book Show since the first one in May 2020. So shout out to Joseph, CEO of Jimmy Asher Foundation. We have here Pete English Literature YouTube channel. Well, I should say Pete English Literature. Pete English Literature. So the videos of the International Book Show virtual book tour, they go on to Pete English Literature YouTube channel, which is a massive YouTube channel, which has got almost 12,000 subscribers now. And we normally get about 1,000 views of people that watch our virtual book tours when we upload them onto YouTube. As I mentioned earlier, this video will be going later on YouTube. And yeah, the founder is Peter Okonkwo. I actually met him when I was in, well, I knew him previously online, but I met him in person last year at the Ake Arts and Book Festival when I went to Nigeria. That's where he's based. But yeah, the YouTube channel, Pete English Literature, which is, we have a partnership agreement to put our videos on the channel. And, there's a lot of great content and interviews, that are on the channel as well. So it's worth, checking out Pete English Literature YouTube channel. Polyglot translation services. I mentioned about them earlier. They translated Yeshiba's books, and they've translated other books of people that have been on the International Book Show. They've sponsored the International Book Show, and they're a partner company now with us. Nubian Nagis Books. Nubian Nagis Books is owned by Sister Leggett. And Sister Leggett, she sponsored me as well since May 2020, since the first International Book Show. I've known her for over a decade now. I know her personally, and when I used to be part of an organization in Luton in the UK, England, just Luton's a place just outside of London. We used to do a lot of events, and she used to come with her suitcases and sell books. And then when I went to events in London as well, I would see her at events. She sells a wide range of books, particularly by UK Black authors. The next another sponsor that I'm going to speak about, Education for All Now. I'm going to let Tamara Foley do the speaking because she's going to be on next, so there's no point of me speaking about everything. But yeah, she's another one of the sponsors of the International Book Show. And then we do have other independent sponsors like Bertie Dar, George Davis, and other people as well. So shout out to whoever you are, if you're a sponsor, or if you're someone who makes a small monthly donation to the International Book Show, it is all appreciated. And if you would like to sponsor the International Book Show in the future, go onto our website, internationalbookshow.com. If you go onto www.internationalbookshow.com and go onto the contact us section, and then just submit the form and say, I would like to sponsor, or I'm inquiring about sponsoring the International Book Show, and submit it, and then I will receive it, and then we'll go forward from there. And you may want to sponsor, you may be an author, publisher, someone in the book industry, or if you just have a business that you want to promote as well, please let me know as well, whether you want to speak or whether you want us to make a commercial for you that we can play. Right, let me go now on to Tamara Foley. Tamara Foley is, as I mentioned, from Education for All Now and also Garwell Publishing. She's one of the sponsors of the International Book Show. Please tell the listeners where you're based, briefly introduce yourself, and then go on to tell us about, all that you do.
Hi, Tamara Foley. I am in the United States, in the Midwest, in the state of Illinois. And today I'm really going to focus on the last journal that I published, of course, through Garwell Publishing. And we do have openings for till the end of the year. If anyone is interested in getting their book published or just getting assistance, we do have coaching services and a lot of different services. So if you just need to be coached through the process and you're going to do it yourself, we're happy to help you through that. We know that sometimes it can be overwhelming publishing, especially if you're a new author. Also, so today I want to really talk about Healing Hearts. So this is the book, Healing Hearts. And Healing Hearts is a journal that we published in May. I'm trying to think, when did we publish it? So we published it in this year. And Healing Hearts really is about having an outlet for children to explore their feelings and to explore their dreams. It's for those that are the brave hearts. It's allowing them to let their creativity soar, and it's helping them really through healing. So I am a big advocate and proponent of mental health and social emotional learning for adults and children, but really focused on children. We know since the pandemic, we still have children who are struggling. We still have children who are not able to express their feelings. They're still feeling lonely. We still see signs of depression and suicide in our children. And we really want to bring this out. And we really want to let children know that they have an outlet, that there is a way that they can express their feelings, that they have adults that can support them, and that by doing that, that is a process of healing. In just a moment, I'm going to share this book, but then I'm going to talk about something that came to being because of the book. So in the book, it is a book of poetry. So you will see poems, and then there'll be questions. And the questions, can you imagine a world where everyone is respectful of one another? What does that look like to you? You can draw or doodle about something when you reflect on the poem. Every poem is different, and there are questions that are asked about the poem, and it really allows them to think about what they're going through. The last poem is of time, trauma, and craft. And we know it says, trauma takes time. The mind's winding halls can lead eventually to peace, to a new lease on life, beyond the aching and the strife, but it constantly takes time. Craft can help. A painting, a poem, a sculpture, a dress, whatever you can make with your own two hands can take you beyond yourself. Put your feelings on the page. Give your pain a stage to play upon. You may be surprised when a new you, a whole you, unfolds before your very, very eyes. With the purchase of the Healing Hearts, we also offer a Healing Hearts kit. And the Healing Hearts kit is a Healing Hearts magnet, so they can always remember that healing is a journey. We have the Healing Hearts, and this is sour candy. And what we know is the research has said that when children are having anxiety, sometimes, and this is also for adults too, you can have a piece of sour candy of something to help them, to help reduce their anxiety and have them to think and focus on something different. They also have a stress ball, and this one says, make it happen. There is a calming strip. And what we know that when some people are stressed or feeling anxiety or feeling overwhelmed, just having this calming strip to touch and just helps them to reduce their stress or anxiety. And then there is the Colors of the World crayons. And these are to help for children who want to color in the book or however they want to doodle. And a mindfulness card. We also know that mindfulness is a part of mental health journey. And we know that mindfulness also helps all of us just to stay grounded. And it can also help us to be in the present. And then also a bookmark for the journal. So you can purchase this on the Education for All Now website under Tam's store. And you can also, I'll put the information, you can also purchase it through our link tree, which also still goes to the store. But since this, the Healing Hearts, and because of just the support that we had, we have started a blog. And you can go to the blog under Education for All Now blog. And the name of the blog is Mending Minds, Healing Hearts. And the blog really covers mental health, covers tips, it covers a lot of definitions, resources for children, resources that you, books that you can use to help children through their journey. We know that healing is a journey, and it will always be a journey, but we want to give children the tools and the support to get through that journey, and to let them know that it's really okay to feel lonely. It's okay to feel sad, but we don't want to stay there. So we want to move. And how do we do that? Who do we go to? And how do we get to that place where we get to a better place during the healing process? So thank you so much. I'll put everything in the chat. Congratulations to all of those who have published books and who continue to publish, because we all have a story to tell. We all know that we can help what we know through our life experiences and through our knowledge of whatever, wherever we've lived or whatever vocation that we're in, that people can learn from us. So congratulations to all. Congratulations to those who continue and who are striving to continue to publish. So thank you, Makonnen, for this platform, and I'll put everything in the chat.
Okay, thank you very much. That's Dr. Tamara Foley. As I mentioned, she's one of the sponsors of the International Book Show. She's an author as well as a publisher. She was speaking about her book, Healing Hearts. She's also got the Cassie's Big Change series. You can check out her websites. She has educationforallnow.org/shop and www.garwellpublishing.com. And Tamara, have you also mentioned the Cassie's Big Change series? There's another website for that, isn't there?
Yes, the Cassie's Big Change series website. I'll put that in the chat. It's cassiesbigchange.com.
Okay, cassiesbigchange.com is also for the Cassie's Big Change website. So if you're interested in the Cassie's Big Change, then you check out their website. Garwell Publishing, that's the publishing website to check out. Educationforallnow.org, that's a consultancy, etc. And also for Healing Hearts, go on educationforallnow.org/shop. Right. I'm also author myself. I've written 4 books. I've got The Rise of Rastafari, Life in Gambia, Experiences of Living Across Africa, and How to Market and Sell Your Book, a guide for beginners. So let me start with Experiences of Living Across Africa, which is my latest book. And you heard me speak about it very briefly earlier. The first author that spoke, Leslie Hendrickson, LM Hendrickson, she is one of the co-authors, as we mentioned, of the book Experiences of Living Across Africa. And Experiences of Living Across Africa is an anthology which highlights the experiences of people who live in Africa and others who have previously lived there. It's from the perspective of those who have moved to an African country from outside the continent and those who have moved within the continent, i.e. those who have moved from the diaspora to the continent, or those who have moved from one African country to another African country. The book Experiences of Living Across Africa, it contains articles by men and women from different walks of life. It features people such as Princes, the son of a prominent civil rights activist leader, those that assist in relocating to Africa, tour operators and guides, authors, media experts, former students, and a retiree. The book is focused on 14 nations situated in different regions of Africa: North Africa, South Africa, East Africa, and West Africa. Now, through reading the book, you will gain a better understanding of what to anticipate and consider when relocating to one of those African countries. The anthology book is a great resource for people looking to move to the African continent, and also for those eager to learn about the customs and cultures of different African societies. Additionally, this book can also be used by those who are searching for a place to visit on holiday, or it could also be to do business in Africa. So you can get a copy of Experiences of Living Across Africa. It is available on Amazon, written by myself, Makonnen Sankofa. It's a really great book. You'll be able to read not just my experience of lived in the Gambia and Ghana. So in the book, my chapters in it is the introduction. I have a chapter about my experience of living in Ghana. I have a chapter about my experience living in Gambia. But then you'll also, and then also another chapter really important about things to consider when moving to Africa that I wrote as well. I also did an interview with Osman Toure, who's someone who moved from Rwanda. No, he moved from Gambia to Rwanda to study. And we have Alpha Yaya Toure, who moved from Guinea to Tunisia. No, sorry, I didn't interview him. I interviewed Osman Toure. Alpha Yaya Toure, he's in the book, but I didn't interview him. The other interview I did was with Prince Dinah Samir. And I did another interview with Larry Ukali Johnson Red about his experience of living in Nigeria. But yeah, it's a really great book. So you'll be able to read about different people's experiences of living in, different African countries. So the other books that I've also authored, we've got Life in Gambia, the Smiling Coast of Africa. So experiences of living across Africa is more broad. If you're just interested more, this one is more exclusively on the Gambia. So it's called Life in Gambia, the Smiling Coast of Africa. And, the reason it's got the subtitle, the Smiling Coast of Africa, is that's what the Gambia is known of because of, the citizens and the people. They're really friendly and kind. So it's got that nickname, the Smiling Coast of Africa. So Gambia is one of the most popular destinations to travel to in Africa. It's hot weather, beautiful beaches, rich culture, and friendly citizens make it an ideal location for many people. There's also a growing influx of people of African heritage born in the diaspora who have either relocated permanently to Gambia or they have plans to move there in the future. Author Makonnen Sankofa, at the time of writing the book, I had been to Gambia 3 times. I've now been to Gambia 5 times. I've lived there twice now. But at the time I'd written the book, I'd been there 3 times and I lived there once. In 2019, which is a lot of it covers my journey in 2019, I spent 6 months living in Gambia. In the book, I give insight into my experience of Gambia, which is quite a very unique one. I mean, my journey is from the perspective of someone who has African Caribbean heritage that was born in diasporas. That's not necessarily what makes it unique, but it's unique from the things that I did when I was over in the Gambia. During my time in the Gambia, I connected with my African roots and explored opportunities in the Gambia. Highlights of my time in Gambia included learning about the culture in Gambia. You have the different tribes, Wolof, Mandinka, etc. The way that they do things, the different customs and culture. Spending time with the locals, visiting the villages. I went to a wedding. I went to naming ceremonies. I taught in schools. I did some lectures. And one of the most unique things probably about my trip was I was part of a big popular YouTube channel called Black Sit. I was one of the foundation members of the video editor and videographer and video editor, and in charge of uploading the videos. And Black Sit has helped to inspire a lot of people to either move or visit to the Gambia. And during my time in the Gambia, I met the movers and shakers of the society. So Life in Gambia, the Smiling Coast of Africa, definitely get a copy of the book if you want to know about the Gambia. Or maybe you never heard of the Gambia, or you never thought about the Gambia before as like a holiday destination or somewhere to go to. But if you read the book, it's not necessarily to encourage you to go there, not obviously to discourage you. It just gives a reflection of my journey, and it's also got some tips and advice in there as well. But yeah, it's a good book to read if you want to know information about the Gambia. We also have my best-selling book I'm going to talk about now, The Rise of Rastafari, Resistance, Redemption, and Repatriation. It's got 96 reviews on Amazon. And The Rise of Rastafari, Resistance, Redemption, and Repatriation. Now, Rastafari emerged in Jamaica as a group of oppressed people, descendants of enslaved Africans, who tried to resist British colonial rule and establish their own sovereignty. But over the years, Rastafari has been heavily persecuted by the government and their own fellow countrymen. Despite the vicious attempts to suppress the Rastafari movement since its inception as it emerged in the 1930s, Rastafari has grown in popularity beyond the borders of the small island of Jamaica and become a global phenomenon where you see Rastafarians all over the world. But the original intention of the Rastafari movement has very much been distorted along the way. So the book, I explain how the original essence of Rastafari as a Black liberation movement is often misrepresented today as a mediocre culture. Rastafari is not just about dreadlocks, smoking ganja, vegetarianism, and listening to reggae music. So the book is really written to dispel the misconceptions people have of Rastafari and highlight the core principles such as nation building, repatriation to Africa, resistance to white supremacy, and Pan-Africanism. The book, The Rise of Rastafari, gives key in-depth knowledge about the origins of the Rastafari, which are often mistold or untold, highlighting the pioneers of the movement, such as Leonard Percival Howell, also known as the Gong, Joseph Hibbert, Robert Hines, and Archibald Dunkley. In essence, the book, it gives a great overview of the history of the Rastafari movement. There's many different chapters in the book. So it starts off by what is Rastafari, defining the movement. Then you have the influence of the Garvey movement in Rastafari, and so you've got information about the transatlantic slave trade, post-slavery, and Marcus Garvey and the influence that the Garvey movement had on the Rasta movement. The emergence of Rastafari, as I mentioned earlier, Leonard Percival Howell, out of the 4 early founders, is the most prominent one, is the most known, that people regard as the first Rasta. It talks about, Leonard Percival Howell, who established Pinnacle, which was the most self-sufficient community in the island of Jamaica, during the 50s. Not something that not everyone knows about, even a lot of Jamaicans. Another thing you also have, it talks about in the book, in the chapter Persecution Against Rastafari, the Coral Gardens Massacre. It's quite a horrific incident, but read the book to find out more about it. I can't go into it all now because we're limited of time. But it highlighted the way a lot of society looked down and viewed Rastafari at the time. I mean, in places like Dominica, you had the Dread Law, for example, the Dread Act, as it was known as. Other chapters in the book, it talks about the reggae, the influence of the reggae music on Rastafari. Even everyone's heard of Bob Marley, you have other artists such as Burning Spear, Peter Tosh, and the influence that Rastafari has played, particularly on roots reggae music. You have Rastafari, I've mentioned it a lot in Jamaica, but also, in England, and particularly in the 70s and 80s, it was very popular. And then you have other chapters in the book which talks about the legacy of His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie. And there's also a chapter in the book that I've written called The Rise, with the book's The Rise of Rastafari, but this chapter is also called The Rise of Rastafari, and it highlights the contributions that the Rastafari movement has made. So many of us, when I say look at Africa, when I say many people look at Africa in a more positive light, and I'll definitely say Rastafari, whether it's been through music, whether it's been through individuals that they know, has definitely changed the way that a lot of people look at Africa in terms of how people are proud of its skin color, whether it's their hair, whether it's the Africanness, where it's proud to be in black. It's changed a lot of the thought that people do have. So it's made many different contributions over the years, and basically that chapter, The Rise of Rastafari, highlights that. So yeah, The Rise of Rastafari, if you want to know about the Rastafari movement from really inception to now, do get a copy of that book. The final book that I've written that I'm going to talk about is How to Market and Sell Your Book, A Guide for Beginners. And How to Market and Sell Your Book, A Guide for Beginners, it is the 3rd book that I've written. And it's really, as it says in the title, How to Market and Sell Your Book, A Guide for Beginners. It's aimed at authors that are not quite established, or aspiring authors, people about to write a book. But people that are more established can also get the benefits by reading it too. But the main target market, there's a lot of people that have written a book but don't know what to do after they've written a book. So this book is basically, excuse me, this book is basically for them. So if you've written a book but would like to increase your book sales, or you're about to release a book and need some guidance on how to market it, this book shows you different methods and techniques that you can use to help you market and sell your book. It's got things that I've used, tried and tested methods, and other people that I know that have used these methods. So the things in the book have been tested. The book, is essential read because it contains valuable information that will help you become successful with marketing and selling your book. Of course, if you apply what's in the book. The book includes topics such as techniques on closing book sales from conversation, how to use media to promote your book, how you can turn your book into a profitable business, becoming an international author as opposed to being a local author and a national author. And I just want to highlight Yeshiba, because Yeshiba was on the platform earlier, and she went to Ghana and she went to a book festival in Ghana. So she's very much now international. She's had her books translated into different languages. She's gone from just being a local and national. She's an international author now. I mean, I've been to Nigeria, I've been to Ghana, I've got my books in Gambia, I've been to book festivals in Nigeria, I've been to book events in Ghana. Ironically, I went to a book festival in the UK to England about a month ago, and I saw someone that I met in Ghana at an event. And, you know, so I'm seeing people internationally that, you know, at book events that I go to, even in different countries. But yeah, if you are about to release a book, you'll definitely find it beneficial. It highlights, you know, as well, things that's how you can make money before you even release the book, how to have a successful book launch, and the pros and cons of having a book self-published and versus traditional published. So in a nutshell, it's just full of, you know, different nuggets, different tips, and, you know, ways you can increase sales of your books. So I think if when I have speak to most authors say they would want to sell. I don't know what author wouldn't want to sell more copies of their book. So I think any author that reads this book, or aspiring author, or someone about to release a book, will benefit, even if you are established author, because it can show you how to sell even more books. It can show you ways and techniques, and things you can do, even on top of, you know, having just your book that can help to generate income. Well, I've said enough about how to market and sell your book. You know, you can go out and get a copy of it, How to Market and Sell Your Book, a guide for beginners. It's available in paperback, and it's also available in Kindle. All of my books are available in paperback and Kindle. You can check them out. They're available on Amazon. So do purchase a copy of the books. If you put in my name, Makonnen Sankofa, it will come up, and then you can, you know, you can get a copy of whatever book you like, or you can get a copy, if you want to patronize me, you know, you can get a copy of each of the books. Yeah, they're all available on Amazon. We are now coming to a conclusion of the end of the International Book Show. I would just like to say thank you for all those who contributed, and thank you all for the authors as well. Not for just the authors that contributed, but also for you who watched the show. You can watch the recording of the show via the International Book Show, the Facebook group. After this the stream will be live, so you can watch it. Please do join the International Facebook group if you haven't already. The video will also be going out on YouTube later. Yeah. So I'm just going to say now, please do also look out for the International Book Show virtual book tour, September 2024, which will be the next edition. If you're on the mailing list, you will receive updates about when that is coming out as well. But at this point, I would just like to say, once again, thank you all for joining me, and have a great evening or have a great afternoon, depending, you know, where you are joining us from. But I would just like to say goodbye, everyone.